This one is Algebra 1, Semester 2. It's the second unit, 2 variable data, and it's the fourth lesson in this unit called Choosing a Data Display. So choosing a data display, copy the following problems into, this is on creatormath.com, it's under the Algebra tab, and down under the table of contents. Copy the following problems into your composition book on the correct pages according to the table of contents. Don't forget the notes, you guys. It's really important to give you a background. These are just the problems for this lesson, and the notes will give you a lot more explanation of what's happening. Creatormath.com under the Algebra tab. So this one talks about 2 specific words, and I think they just, the whole set of problems literally talks about 2 words. Qualitative or quantitative. So let's underline the quantitative. Here's a qual, Q-U-A-L, qualitative. Here's a qual, whoops. Okay, I just broke my rule. Underline, underline, underline. Oh, I only have one circled for qualitative. Let's go through, and then I'm going to go back through them. Here's a qual. Let me stick to my rule here. Qual, quantitative, quantitative. Right? So, quantitative is something we can count. Qualitative is something that we can count if we work at it, but it's much more dealing with non-countable type items. And let's just go through what these examples are, and that's what they're trying to focus you on for the statistics lesson. Just the idea that there's sort of 2 different types of information out there. Some we can count. Some we have a harder time counting. So let's do this. Which data set is qualitative? So this is qual, Q-U-A-L, and this answer is colors of marbles in a bag. So the reason colors are harder to count is if I show you a shade of blue, we know there's light blues and dark blues, and there's everything in between. There's an infinite number of shades of blue in between. So it's really hard to start counting. If I say to you, count all the blue ones, you're like, well, do you mean the dark blue ones or do you mean the light blue ones? And do I count the light blue ones here? And so that's more qualitative. Okay, it's harder to count. Here would be something that's easier to count. So quantity is the word quantitative, comes from the word quantity. That's easier to count. Surface areas. An area is a calculation, so we can count it a lot easier. So we can count it. Quantitative. Quantitative. We can count it. Decibel ranges for pairs of earbuds. So we literally can define the decibels produced by a set of earbuds, and we can count it. It's a countable item, right? So that would be quantitative. This one is ages of attendees at a concert. You can literally go, okay, there's a group of people at this concert who are 18 to 24. Because it's easy to count, and we can just count the number that fit that age group, it's quantitative, easy to count. Quantitative, average daily temperatures. We just record the temperatures. We can record them at a given time. We can record them at multiple given times. And then we can count exactly what they are. So it's quantitative. Quantity is countable. Qualitative is harder to count. It's not impossible, but it's a lot harder. Qualitative. Textures of fabric at a mill. Okay, so it depends on the way it feels, right? A texture, you're going to use your fingers and feel it, and you might go, wow, that feels rough. And another person might go, that doesn't feel that rough. So now all of a sudden we have this sort of lack of understanding in terms of counting what that texture is. So it's qualitative, right? So you can have qualitative studies that deal with fabric texture, or you can have quantitative. Weights of livestock at an auction. You just weigh all the livestock, write down the actual weights, and now you know what they weigh. Qualitative. Colors of marbles in a bag. It's the same one. Colors of marbles in a bag. Yeah, that one's repeated twice. Not sure about that, but okay. Qualitative. Tastes of different kitchen spices. Okay, so we know that taste depends on your taste buds. Some people might have far more acute or sensitive taste buds than others. So this becomes a lot harder to measure. So it becomes more of a qualitative idea. This one tastes sweeter than that one. I don't really have a number for sweetness, although I can work at it and I can try to define sweetness. It's a lot harder to count. So it's more of a quality issue. And that's where the word qualitative comes from. Quality. Now we're back to counting. Decibel ranges for a pair of earbuds. Again, not sure why I got 2 of those in there, but I can go back and look at removing those, right? So the idea of when you're doing a study and you're collecting data, 2 different issues. Can you quantify it? Can you count it? Or is it more of a quality issue? You know, this texture feels rougher than that one. That's more of a qualitative issue versus I'm just going to count, right, how heavy the livestock is. Now I'm down to quantities, so it's quantitative. 2 sort of very big concepts when making a study. All right, it's under creativemath.com. It's under the algebra tab, and this is the unit on data, and it's basically data light because we're in Algebra 1. It's not a statistics course, but it is getting students ready to have statistics in following years. So it's introducing those ideas.